It is bright and early, and today I'm going to share with you what a typical morning looks like on our small homestead. So how my husband and I have our chores split up is I typically handle the morning chores. He's on the road to work by 6 a.m. and then he typically handles the evening chores, especially this time of year when there are constantly bears out. Our property backs right up onto the mountain, so late summer through fall there are bears out pretty much every night. So he likes to do that. Now, fall morning chores take much less time than summer morning chores, which is really nice. So I get a bit of a break. We don't have the garden to deal with as much. We still have some stuff out here in the garden, but it's a lot cooler, so a lot less work than it is midsummer. For my morning chores, I always work front to back, so I start out with our laying flock. We recently downsized our flock a bit just to make some room for some new layers, and for the first time in years, we are not swimming in eggs because the new ones have not started to lay quite yet. In that process, we did also get rid of our rooster, and he was great with us, but he was getting a little bit rough with his ladies, and I have heard people say that keeping a rooster keeps egg production up. So I'm not sure if there's actually any truth to that, but there's also the fact that our days are just getting shorter, and with that, laying is going to start to slow down. First up is getting the waterers cleaned out. So when we're using this style of waterer, they get a good rinse daily, but I like to give them a good scrub down with a bottle brush a couple times a week, and the bottle brush just makes it quick and easy, and I use some of my natural homemade dish soap with this as well. Today, they are just getting a refill of plain water, but often I'll add in some apple cider vinegar or garlic cloves to help keep our flock healthy. And pretty quick here, we're going to be switching back over to heated waterers, just out of necessity, but something that I do love about those is they do manage to stay much cleaner. For feed, all of our livestock get organic soy-free feed. I'm sure any of you that keep livestock are feeling it, but feed has gone up significantly in cost the past few years. The feed we were buying from our local feed store doubled in price, and it is just not feasible in the quantity that we need. So what we've started to do is source our feed in bulk as much as we can, because we are actually able to get a much higher quality feed for significantly less money, almost the same price as conventional feed at our local feed store. It takes a lot more planning this way, as the company that we use is not local to us, but it is well worth the cost savings. Right now we are in between deliveries, so this morning all the animals got a little bit less feed than normal until I could get out to the feed store later this morning to restock until our next delivery. As I mentioned, we deal with a lot of bears this time of year, so it is necessary that we have a solid electric fence set up, and my husband worked hard through the spring to get it put together. It's one of the reasons that while I would love to be able to rotate our chickens to fresh grass daily, it is just not feasible or worth the risk with our current setup, since we don't have electric fencing around the entire property. So they get a good amount of access to grass, but they also get lots of garden scraps as well to keep them nice and healthy. The pigs have been such a fun addition to the homestead this year, and they have been keeping us very entertained. They are hungry first thing in the morning, so I always try and distract them for a minute with some sort of treat so I can get in without being knocked over. This morning it was just a few fallen apples, but oftentimes it is a bucket of scraps. Despite having 2 feed pans, they are always fighting over the same one. So for the pigs' water, same as the chickens, they get rinsed out daily and then scrubbed out weekly. For the pigs, however, their water is refilled several times a day because they like to tip it over. They do have a clean wallow that they use as well, but they still like to tip these. Now, we have a food grade barrel that our intention is to use for water. We're going to install some nipples and either use T-posts or some wood posts to secure it so they can't tip that over, but that is just a project that we have not gotten to quite yet. This year we raised 2 batches of meat birds, which will provide us chicken for the entire year, which I'm very grateful for. The first batch were Cornish cross and the second batch were Western rustic, which you can see here. And we wanted to try both breeds this year to be able to compare. Since filming this video, these birds have been butchered, and I'm truly on the fence on what we will do in the future. The Western Rustic overall had less issues. We didn't lose a single bird, no leg problems, unlike a couple that we did lose that had leg issues in our batch of the Cornish Cross. That being said, the Western Rustic had a much larger variation in size. The Cornish Cross have a much shorter grow out, 8 weeks versus 12 weeks for the Western Rustic. And with that, from a cost standpoint alone, I think that may be the way to go in the future. No surprise, I wasn't even done with the chickens before the pigs had knocked over one of their waters. Chores always wrap up with turning the electric fence back on And you can usually find me coming back out here at least once to make sure that I didn't forget, because of course this is an important step. So that was a peek into what my homestead morning looks like throughout the fall months. Much less work than throughout the hot summer months when there is watering and weeding and harvesting to do. So the break is very much appreciated. Thank you for spending my morning with me, friends. I'll see you in the next video.